Well, good morning to you from a very wet and windy England, Cambridgeshire to be precise. And I hope that your weather may be somewhat better. On the other hand, uh, we expect this kind of weather here in England during the winter time, well, autumn, and we are never disappointed. Only those of us, of course, who are wishing for ice, and then we get thwarted. But anyway, um, the thing is, I was thinking about the co-relationship, if you like, between our weather and our innermost self, our spiritual self, how it is affected by the physical conditions and situations in which we find ourselves. And I decided that it would be worth speaking with you about that because, we talk about the storms of life, don't we? And we really do feel it within. And if the weather is bad, we suffer from that. But it's worse when the weather's bad within ourselves. And that can also be from outside conditions. It may not be rain and wind or storm, but it may be emotionally similar to that, an uproar, a tremendous unrest perhaps around us, which affects us within. And I was wondering, how do we get over that? Because sometimes it's unseen. The wet and windy weather we can see for ourselves, or we can experience for ourselves. Everybody can experience that. But what's going on around us that is unseen, that is full of turmoil, in just the same way as if we were standing in a storm, can have a really bad effect on us. And in a way, it's worse because it's not actually visible to the outward eye. And it can make one feel very, very lonely and isolated when it's not possible to see what's going on with somebody. And similarly, it's very difficult to help somebody else if we don't know what's going on within themselves, and we don't know what turmoils and difficulties they're experiencing around them that is manifesting within themselves. And I thought to myself, how do we get over these things? Well, after all these years on Earth, I've had plenty of share of stormy weather, and feeling that I'm drowning in a flood of miseries and despairs. And yet I've always managed to come through that, as we all have, who are sitting here today. And you wonder sometimes how you did it. Well, I thought it would be best to analyse that, because there are strategies and methods that we can use to actually help ourselves to rise above all of that, make ourselves feel better. Because there's no doubt about it that all the turmoils around us, all the worries and anxieties and stresses that we experience, definitely have a physical effect on our well-being. And I think that is most important. And I was minded to look at the old biblical story of Noah's Ark. It's a story all about prophecy, actually, knowing the future because you're told it. Noah was told that by the Spirit, that there was going to be a conflagration, that he was to build an ark, a wooden ship. It was told to him precisely the measurements, absolutely everything. Those of us who are used to listening to those in spirit, those loftier beings in spirit, who give us teachings and so on, will recognize that, the preciseness of it. But isn't it wonderful? It's not for everybody, but some are chosen for this. And Noah was one of those. And he was told precisely how the measurements would make this boat. So this is what he did. And of course, you can imagine all his neighbours laughing, saying, "Oh yes, 40 days of rain, and ha, and look at old Noah is making a boat in his backyard." But he carried on regardless of all the taunts. And of course, the heavens opened and there was a flood. But Noah and his family and all the animals that he was told to take on board were saved. And they floated above the storm until they came to rest. And it seems that they came to rest on a mountainside in eastern Turkey, where they have only just, by use of special imaging equipment, decided that indeed the earthworks that were noticed, that looked like a ship, indeed could well be a ship, and could well be that ark. And that's the subject of some ongoing exploration at the moment, and I believe they're making a film about it, which of course will be released. But the fact is that the whole concept of building yourself an ark for rising above a flood is quite a wonderful allegory, because that's of course what we can do. And by the way, everything was written down and talked about in Hebrew at that time, and the word for ark is also the word for word. So you could say that rescue that was effected for Noah by listening to spirit, doing what was asked of him, was affected by in two parts. First of all, the physical rising above the flood and rescuing themselves from drowning, but also the other way of rescuing themselves from a flood and drowning, from the emotional and other conditions that were going on that couldn't be actually, you couldn't pinpoint that in the abstract. That was done through the word of prayer. So you could say that Noah's Ark was really an ark of prayer, of words. And it's through that word that we can get ourselves some respite and some freedom from that storm of anxiety and stress. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about, because it's so important, isn't it? We all have really, really dismal times in our lives. We have, really crucial times in our lives, and we don't know which way to turn, what's going to happen next. But that building ourselves an ark of prayer, of prayerful words, really does help. And if you look back on all the times that you've been in dire circumstances, that you sent up a thought, aka prayer, it must have been answered, because, like I say, we're all sitting here now, aren't we? Now I haven't been showing comments and things. Show smiley, and it's just so nice that you've joined me this morning, because otherwise, of course, I'd be just talking to myself. Of course, I'm rather good at that, according to my kids. However, I know that we are heard by those in the spirit realms. I know that our prayers are heard and acted upon. And again, as I say, we wouldn't all be sitting here now, would we, if that wasn't true? And the fact is that we can ask, as Noah asked, for help, and we get it. For sure, I would say that meditation in our way of life is always a good tool to use for a bit of calm in all the stress and everything. You can find a couple of minutes, but more than anything, the prayers, because ordinarily prayers they're heard, they go up and they're listened to, and we know that they're acted upon. We have to say, "Thy will, not my will, O Lord." Nevertheless, if we are in actual extremis, those are the prayers that get heard first. It's sort of like a matter of a sort of sliding scale of importance, isn't it? If somebody is in dire need, really dire need of help, they will get it, and their prayers get there first. They have an impact, that's for sure. Those of us who pray, it's a general thing, yes, they're heard and they're listened to, but it's those extreme prayers that get there first and get acted upon. And let's face it, we know that because we're all still here. And I think there's nobody on this earth who has not at some time or other been desperate for help and sent up a thought and got that help. Like I said, we're all still here. And I think that our spiritualist way of life is one of the best helps there is, because it helps us to understand the wider picture, the bigger picture. And we can look at somebody like Noah, who did what he was told. Not all mediums do what they're told, we know this. And not all prophets do what they're told, we know that too. But where they do, you see the reward. And it's a lovely, lovely story, because what happens is that they look out and they see a dove who flies back to the boat bearing a branch of leaves, and they realise that there's flood subsiding and that there's dry land. And of course, that's what happened. They also saw a rainbow. And of course, we know that the sun shines through the rain ceases, and you get this lovely rainbow. And as we always say, God keeps his promises. And the promise was to humankind that all will be well. Yes, there was a proviso. We should all try and do the best we can in this life, make this world a better place, and all will be well. But somebody said, well, the sun rises and sets on the ungodly as well. Well, we know it does, but we just have to do our best, don't we? Good morning, Ian. And it's really nice that those of you who can join me live, as it is, can speak and have your thoughts alongside mine. And then, of course, we have to welcome those who will be watching this as a sort of recorded video thing. But again, the prayers that we send up, they're always valid. They're always valid. And I would just like to say to you, that if you are in dire circumstances, dire straits right now, whether it's the now that I'm speaking in or the now I'm speaking to you in another time, you will get help. You will get help. Oh, good morning to you. And because we're spiritualists and because we believe in life after life, life after death, and we believe that we can speak with those who have passed over, as well as those angelic hosts that everybody also seems to assume that's fine. They just can't get their head around their nearest and dearest actually surviving physical death. It's all right, they're angels. But we should be mindful of that and try and encourage people by our own example to understand that our loved ones do survive physical transition of death and are able to communicate back with us in just the same way as those more lofty beings do and did do to those prophets of old and those wonderful people like Noah. And I would like to give you a message for yourself if you're in dire straits today. And I know some of us are. I feel particularly, what should we say, vulnerable today. I've had some difficulties to overcome the last little while, and it's always nice to know that in this way of life we do get such help. And what I've done, I picked up my little book. Okay, this little book that I have, and oh wow! And this I've opened it at random, you see, and they've been listening to me, them upstairs, as we say. And this is what I've got to read for us today in our province. Oh, Leslie. Oh, Leslie. No. It's so nice to be able to speak with you all. This is what I've got for all of us. In darker days and nights of storm, men knew thee but to fear thy form, and in the vivid lightnings saw thine arm avenge unheeded law. In brighter days we note thy love, in flowers beneath, in stars above, and in the track of every storm behold thy beauty's rainbow form. Even in the vivid lightning's path we see no vestiges of wrath, but always wisdom, perfect love, from flowers beneath to storm above, to stars above. See, from on high, sweet influence reigns on palace, cottage, mountains, plains. No hour of wrath shall mortals fear, for pure angelic love is here. There, that was written by Theo Parker. And who says they're not listening to what we're saying, eh? And giving us that amazing, amazing hymn that the words are so suitable for us, because we were talking, weren't we, all the time about Noah, the floods, everything. And, we go back to that knowledge that it's those emotional situations and floods that we need so much to be able to lift ourselves up from and float across and make ourselves feel better. So I think that we'll be able to perhaps take a few thoughts from it all and know that other people go through it too, as well as us. And I suppose we're all in this together. In a way, the planet itself is one big ark, isn't it? One big word. And of course, as they say, Bereshit, that's Genesis, the word. In the beginning was the word. And the word, of course, was from God, the Great Spirit, that made the earth itself. So that's something to think about, and to know that, as I always say, our Tammy, yes, and you too have a good day. Thank you. And no doubt we'll message each other. And I'm always on this Facebook message thing. If you want to message me about anything, I'm happy to answer any queries. And if you have a prayer request, please do ask. And I do say prayers specially, and make sure that everybody gets mentioned. And of course, I found a way of sort of making that a little bit easier for myself. I used to fall asleep praying, because I used to fall asleep on the names. So after I got to about 20 names, I'd fall asleep and I'd wake up I think, oh no, where did I get to? And then I'd have to start again. And I'd fall asleep again. So eventually, I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm going to have to do something. But you have to say for all my friends and for all those who have requested, because the fact is this, that those upstairs know, and you're just, reminding them, if you like, of all the people that need help. But yes, so we have a healing book, of course, and names go into that. And as we say, dear Lord, please help all of us who are going through difficulties at the moment. Help us get through the floods and turmoils and storms of life that surround us. Help us, dear Lord, to feel calm and peaceful within ourselves, to spread that peace and calmness to everybody we come into contact with, so that they too may feel better. Even if we don't know what's ailing them, you, dear Lord, know. And dear God, please look after all the animals. We talked about the ark today. We talk about the animals. We would like you, dear Lord, to look after all the animals who need saving this day. And all of this, dear Lord, we ask you in the name of love and light and truth. Amen. There. So I hope that you all feel better. And John Taylor, good day, Lynn. Oh, you can tell that he's in Australia now, if it's that John Taylor. And I'll leave you with those few thoughts. Should we have another message? Should we look for another message for ourselves? Would that be too greedy? I wonder. Well, it says, the other word for ark, it's teva, is word. So we ask for another. Here we are, and this is what. Sing to the Lord a joyful song. Lift up your hearts and voices raise. To us his gracious gifts belong. To him our songs of love and praise. For life and love, for rest and food, for daily help and nightly care. Sing to the Lord, for he is good, and praise his name with every prayer. For strength to those who on him wait, his truth to prove, his will to do. Praise ye our God, for he is great. Trust in his name, for it is true. For joys untold, which from above cheer those who love his high employ. Sing to our God, for he is love. Exalt his name, for it is joy. And that's based on Psalm 145, verses 1 and 2. Well, who says they're not listening to us? And that was all about prayer and cheering ourselves up. So I hope that you feel a bit more cheerful now, if you didn't before. And as I say, do send us a message if you have any, even if you have any questions about spiritualism, what it means. Feel free. So I'll say God bless you. I know it's been a little early for some and a little late for others, but that's how it goes, isn't it? So I'll say God bless you, and I'll speak to you again soon. I hope you've been a little bit cheered up. Don't forget a bit of meditation helps. You know what they say, everything seems really dark and dreary. Go into that light place in your mind. Think of something lovely. You'll feel better. Even if it's just for a few minutes. Bye for now.